In ancient times, the whole earth spoke a single language. Terah, at the age of 70, became the father of 3 sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Both Abram and Nahor were married. Abram's wife was named Sarai, while Nahor was married to Milcah, the daughter of Haran. Haran had 2 daughters, Milcah and Iscah. However, Sarai was barren and could not have children. Terah set out with his son Abram, his grandson Lot, Haran's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, leaving the city of Ur of the Chaldeans heading to the land of Canaan. Along the way they arrived at Haran, where they decided to settle for a time. One day the Eternal spoke to Abram and said, "Leave your country, your family, and your father's house, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, bless your life, and make your name famous. You will be a blessing to many. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed." Obedient to the voice of the Lord, Abram departed, taking with him his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot. At that time he was 75 years old. He took all that he had and the people who had joined him in Haran. They journeyed toward Canaan. Abram crossed that land and arrived at the oak of Moreh, near Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites inhabited that region. There, the Eternal appeared to Abram and promised, "I will give this land to your offspring." Then Abram built an altar in honor of the Lord. From there he went toward the east of Bethel and pitched his tent between Bethel and Ai. He also built an altar there and called on the name of the Eternal. He continued his journey, moving south, toward the Negev. However, that region faced a severe famine. To survive, Abram had to go down to Egypt. Before entering the country, he said to Sarai, "We know you are very beautiful. When the Egyptians see you, they will say you are my wife and try to kill me. So say that you are my sister. That way they will treat me well because of you, and my life will be spared." As soon as they arrived in Egypt, the Egyptians noticed Sarai's beauty and praised her before Pharaoh. Therefore she was taken to the palace. In exchange, Abram received many gifts: sheep, cattle, donkeys, servants, maidservants, and camels. But the Lord severely punished Pharaoh and his household with diseases because of Sarai. Pharaoh then called Abram and said, "What have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? You deceived me by saying she was your sister, and I took her as my wife. Now take your wife and go away." Pharaoh ordered Abram to be escorted out of Egypt, along with Sarai and all they had. Abram returned to the Negev with his wife and possessions, and Lot accompanied them. Already very wealthy, Abram owned great flocks, silver and gold. They went back to Bethel, where Abram had pitched his tent before, and there he prayed again to the Lord. Lot was also very prosperous, with many flocks and tents. The land could not support all their possessions, and conflicts arose between Abram's shepherds and Lot's shepherds. To avoid further quarrels, Abram proposed a separation. "We should not fight. We are relatives. Choose the direction you want to go. If you go one way, I will go the other." Lot looked around and saw that the Jordan Valley was very fertile, even resembling the garden of the Lord. He chose that region and went to live near Sodom, while Abram stayed in Canaan. The people of Sodom, however, were wicked and sinned against God. After the separation, the Lord spoke again to Abram. "Look around, north, south, east, and west. All the land you see will be yours and your descendants forever. Your offspring will be as numerous as the dust of the earth, impossible to count. Walk through this land, for I am giving it to you." Abram moved and settled near the oaks of Mamre, in Hebron, where he built another altar to the Lord. Later, there was a war between several kings of the region. Kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zoar fought against kings from the east. In the valley of Siddim, where there were many bitumen pits, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fell, while the others fled to the mountains. The victors looted Sodom and Gomorrah, taking goods, food, and also Lot, Abram's nephew, as a prisoner. One of the survivors escaped and told Abram what had happened. He then gathered 318 trained men from his household and went in pursuit. He attacked the enemies, by night dividing his men into groups. He succeeded in rescuing Lot, his goods, the women, and all the captives. On the way back from battle, the king of Sodom met Abram. Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, also appeared. He brought bread and wine, blessed Abram, and declared, "Blessed be Abram by the Most High God, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, who has delivered your enemies into your hands." Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything he had recovered. The king of Sodom then offered Abram the recovered goods, asking only for the people. But Abram refused. "I swear by the Lord, the Most High God, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take anything that belongs to you, not even a thread, or the strap of a sandal, so that you never say I made Abram rich. Only what my men have eaten and the share that belongs to my allies let them receive." After everything that had happened, Abraham received a message from God in a vision. The Lord said to him, "Do not be afraid. I am your protector, and I have great rewards for you." Abraham then replied, "Sovereign Lord, what good is all that you give me if I still have no children? In the end, the one who will inherit all that I have will be Eliezer, my servant from Damascus. You have not given me children, and now a simple servant will be my heir." But God answered him, "He will not be your heir. Your heir will be someone born from you." Then God led Abraham outside and said to him, "Look up at the sky and try to count the stars if you can. That is how numerous your descendants will be, countless." Abraham fully trusted the Lord, and for that reason, he was considered righteous before him. Then God said more, "I am the one who brought you out of the land of the Chaldeans and gave you this land to be yours." Abraham asked, "But how will I know that this land will really be mine?" And God replied, "Bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a turtle dove and a young pigeon." Abraham brought the animals, cut them in half, and arranged the halves facing each other except for the birds which were not cut. Vultures began to approach the carcasses, but Abraham scared them away. When it grew dark, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and a great fear enveloped him. Then God spoke to him, "Know that your descendants will live as foreigners in a land not their own. They will be oppressed and enslaved for a long time, but afterward, they will leave with great wealth. As for you, you will live a long life and die in peace. Your descendants will only return to this land in the 4th generation, because the Amorites' wickedness has not yet reached its full measure." Later, when night was very dark, something like a smoking furnace and a flaming torch passed between the pieces of the animals. There, God made a covenant with Abraham, saying, "I will give this land to your descendants, from the river of Egypt to the Euphrates River." This territory includes the lands of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaim, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. Sarah, Abraham's wife, still had no children. She had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. One day Sarah said to Abraham, "The Lord has not given me children. Sleep with my slave. Maybe I can build a family through her." Abraham agreed to the proposal, and Sarah gave her slave to him. Hagar became pregnant. When she realized she was expecting a child, Hagar began to despise Sarah. Sarah then complained to Abraham, "This humiliation is your fault. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she is pregnant, she treats me with contempt. Let God judge between us." Abraham replied, "She is under your authority. Do whatever you think is best." Sarah began to mistreat Hagar, who ran away. But an angel of the Lord found her by a spring in the desert on the way to Shur. He asked her, "Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She answered, "I'm running away from my mistress." The angel said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her discipline. Know that I will multiply your descendants so that they cannot be counted. You are pregnant and will have a son. Name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your suffering. Your son will be like a wild donkey, always in conflict, a fighter and independent." Hagar recognized that she had encountered God and exclaimed, "You are the God who sees me." Therefore that place was called, "The living God who sees me." Hagar gave birth to a boy, and Abraham named him Ishmael. Later God appeared again to Abraham and said, "I am Almighty God. Live with integrity before me. Let us make a covenant, from which a great offspring will come." Abraham bowed with his face to the ground, and God continued, "My covenant with you is this. You will be the father of many nations. Your name will no longer be Abram but Abraham, for I will make you the father of a multitude. From you will come kings and nations. This covenant between us will be everlasting. I will be your God, and the God of your descendants. I give you and your descendants all the land of Canaan, forever. As a sign of this covenant, every male among your people shall be circumcised, including those born in your household, and the foreigners you acquire. Circumcision will be a permanent sign of my covenant. Whoever is not circumcised will be cut off from the people, for he has broken the covenant." God also said, "Your wife will no longer be called Sarai, but Sarah. I will bless her, and she will give you a son. Yes, kings and nations will come from her." Abraham bowed again and laughed, thinking to himself, "Can a man my age still have a child? And Sarah at her age, can she give birth?" After calming down, Abraham spoke to God again. God responded firmly, saying that was not exactly what he meant. The truth was that Sarah, his wife, would have a son, a boy. God asked Abraham to name him Isaac, for the covenant would be made with him, an eternal covenant that would also extend to his descendants. As for Ishmael, God said he had heard Abraham's prayer and would also bless him. Ishmael would have many children and a great lineage. He would be the father of 12 princes and form a large nation. But the main covenant, the special and eternal one, would be made with Isaac, the son who would be born to Sarah. After this conversation, God withdrew Abraham, obeying God's command, called Ishmael and all the men in his household, both those born there and those bought. All the males were circumcised that very day, as God had instructed. Abraham, already advanced in age, also circumcised himself, as did Ishmael his son. Every man in the household went through the same rite. At another time the Lord appeared again to Abraham near the oaks of Mamre. He was sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day when he saw 3 men standing before him. Immediately rose, ran to meet them, and bowed down in respect. He asked them to stay a while, offered water to wash their feet, and promised to bring food so they could strengthen themselves before continuing their journey. The visitors accepted. Abraham hurried to Sarah and asked her to prepare bread with the finest flour in the house. Then he went to the herd, selected a healthy calf, and gave it to one of the servants to prepare quickly. He also brought curds and milk. He served everything to the visitors and remained there under the tree while they ate. During the meal, they asked where Sarah was. Abraham answered that she was in the tent, One of the men declared that he would return later, and when he did, Sarah would have a son. Sarah, who was listening behind the tent, laughed quietly. She and Abraham were old, and she no longer believed it was possible to have children. She thought to herself how that could happen, being past the age and with an old husband. But God noticed her laughter and asked Abraham why Sarah had laughed, and if she truly thought anything was impossible for the Lord. He affirmed that when he returned, Sarah would have a son. Afraid, Sarah denied laughing, but God corrected her, saying that yes, she had laughed. The men then prepared to leave and set off toward Sodom. Abraham accompanied them to say goodbye. At that moment, God considered whether he should hide from Abraham what he was about to do. After all, Abraham would become a great nation, and all the nations of the earth would be blessed through him. God had chosen him to teach his children and future generations to follow the ways of righteousness and kindness, so that his promises would be fulfilled. God then shared with Abraham that the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah was severe, that the sins of those cities had become great. He decided to go down to see for himself if things were really as bad as they seemed. While the men went on toward Sodom, Abraham remained before God and began to intercede. He asked if God would destroy the righteous along with the wicked, and if there were 50 good people in the city, would God spare the place for their sake? The Lord replied yes, he would spare it. Abraham persisted, asking and lowering the number each time, 45, 40, 30, 20, until he reached 10. God patiently answered that he would not destroy the city if he found 10 righteous people there. After that, the conversation between God and Abraham ended, and each went on their way. That same evening, 2 angels arrived in Sodom. Lot was sitting at the city gate, and when he saw them, he stood up to welcome them respectfully. He invited them to his house where they could spend the night, wash up, and travel rested in the morning. At first, the visitors refused, saying they would stay in the street overnight, but Lot insisted so fervently that they accepted. At Lot's house, he prepared a good meal, and the visitors ate. However, before the night ended, men from all over the city, young and old, surrounded the house and demanded that Lot hand over the visitors, claiming they wanted to have fun with them. Lot went outside, shut the door behind him, and begged them not to harm his guests. He even offered his virgin daughters, asking them not to touch the visitors because they were under his protection. But the men of the city became furious, accusing Lot of trying to rule over them, even though he was a foreigner, and threatened to do worse to him. Then the 2 visitors, revealing their true nature, pulled Lot inside and locked the door. They struck the attackers with blindness, causing them to stumble and lose their way in the dark. The angels asked Lot if he had any other relatives there, sons, daughters, sons-in-law, anyone dear to him, and told him to bring them out of the city immediately, because it was about to be destroyed. The cries of the victims reached the Most High with such intensity that the decision was made that land would be wiped out of existence. The divine messengers said, "Leave here now, all of you. The Lord is going to destroy this city." Lot tried to convince his daughter's fiancés, but they mocked him, thinking he was joking. At dawn, the angels urged Lot, "Quick, take your wife and your daughters and leave before everything is destroyed and you suffer the punishment too." Since Lot hesitated, the messengers took him by the hand, along with his wife and daughters, and led them out of the city. This was an act of divine mercy. Once they were safe, the angel said, "Run for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere on the plain. Flee to the mountains so you won't be destroyed." But Lot replied, "Sirs, I'm grateful you saved me. but I can't go to the mountains. I'm afraid of what might happen to me there. Please let me escape to that little town over there. It's small, and I'll be safe there." Because of his insistence, the messengers agreed, "All right, go there. We won't destroy that city, but hurry. We can't do anything until you are safe." For that reason, that place came to be called Zoar, which means small. When Lot arrived in Zoar, the sun was already shining in the sky. Then the Lord rained down fire and sulfur from heaven on Sodom and Gomorrah. A river of lava poured down from the skies, destroying everything: the cities, the fields, the inhabitants, and even the vegetation of the region. However, Lot's wife disobeyed the divine command and looked back. She was immediately turned into a pillar of salt. The next morning, Abraham went to the place where he had spoken with God before. From there he could see from afar the entire plain being consumed by a thick smoke, like that which rises from a great furnace. Before destroying those cities, the Lord remembered Abraham, and therefore saved Lot from the midst of the catastrophe. After that, Lot left Zoar, afraid to stay there any longer, and went to live with his 2 daughters in a cave in the mountains. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is getting old, and there are no men around for us to continue our family. Let's give him wine and lie with him. That way he can father children for us." That night they made Lot drunk with wine, and the older daughter lay with him. But he was so drunk that he didn't realize what was happening. The next morning, she told her sister everything and said, "Now it's your turn. Let's give him wine again tonight and you lie with him." And so they did. Lot, again unconscious, did not know what had happened. Lot's 2 daughters became pregnant by their own father. The older gave birth to a son she named Moab. He became the ancestor of the Moabites. The younger had a son named Ben-Ami, who became the ancestor of the Ammonites, Abraham and Gerar. After this, Abraham journeyed south and settled between Kadesh and Shur, camping in Gerar. There, when speaking about Sarah, he said she was his sister. Because of this, King Abimelech sent for her. During the night, God appeared to the king in a dream and warned him, "You will die. This woman you took has a husband." Abimelech, who had not even touched Sarah, replied, "Lord, will you punish an innocent man? He told me she was his sister, and she said he was her brother. I had no knowledge of anything." Then God responded, in the dream, "I know you acted with integrity. That is why I kept you from sinning against me and sleeping with her. Now return Sarah to her husband. He is a prophet, and he will pray for you so that you may live. If you don't return her, you and all your household will die." Abimelech gathered all his people and shared with them everything that had happened, without hiding anything. The people were extremely surprised by the story. After that, he called Abraham for a conversation and asked indignantly, "Why did you do this to us? Have I ever done you any harm to deserve such injustice against me and my kingdom? What you did is unacceptable. What were you thinking?" Abraham explained that he feared for his life, thinking that no one there respected God, and that they might kill him because of his wife. He added that Sarah was indeed his sister on his father's side. Since they had left their father's house, he had asked her to tell everyone she was his sister, for their own protection. Understanding the situation, Abimelech returned Sarah to Abraham and as a form of restitution offered gifts: sheep, cattle, servants, and maidservants. He also told him he could choose any place on the land to live. To Sarah he offered 1,000 pieces of silver, declaring that this served as public proof of her innocence and that she was not disgraced. Then Abraham prayed to God, and the Lord restored the health of Abimelech, his wife, and his maidservants. who began having children again. This was because the Lord had closed the wombs of all the women in Abimelech's household because of Sarah. Fulfilling his promise, God visited Sarah, and she became pregnant, giving Abraham a son, just as the Lord had announced. Abraham named the boy Isaac and circumcised him on the 8th day as God had commanded. He was already 100 years old when his son was born. Sarah, moved, declared that God had given her cause to smile and that everyone who heard about it would rejoice with her. She said that no one would have ever imagined that she, already old, would bear a child for Abraham and nurse him. The boy grew and was weaned, and Abraham held a great feast. One day Sarah saw Ishmael, the son of the Egyptian Hagar, with Abraham mocking Isaac. Upset, she asked Abraham to send the servant woman and her son away, as she did not want him to share in Isaac's inheritance. Abraham was distressed by her request because Ishmael was also his son. But God reassured him, telling him to do as Sarah said, for the promised lineage would come through Isaac. Still, God promised that Ishmael would become a great nation because he was Abraham's son. Reluctantly, Abraham prepared provisions, gave water to Hagar, and sent her away with the boy. They wandered through the desert until the water ran out. Not knowing what to do, Hagar placed the boy under the shade of a bush and moved away because she could not watch him die. She sat down and wept, but God heard the boy's cries. An angel called Hagar from heaven and told her not to be afraid, for God was with the boy. The angel told her to get up, lift the boy, and hold him tightly, for he would become a great nation. Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water. She filled her water skin and gave the boy a drink. God continued to be with Ishmael as he grew up in the desert, where he became an expert archer. He lived in the desert of Paran, and his mother found him an Egyptian wife. Later, Abimelech, along with the commander of his army, came to Abraham and said, "It is clear that God is with you in everything you do. Therefore I ask you to swear that you will not deal falsely with me, my children, or my descendants. Promise that you will treat me with the same kindness I have shown you." Abraham agreed to the covenant, and taking advantage of the occasion, complained about a well that Abimelech's servants had taken by force. Abimelech said he did not know about it and that it was the first time he had heard of such a thing. They then made a pact. Abraham gave sheep and cattle to Abimelech and set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock. Abimelech asked what the separated animals meant, and Abraham replied, "These 7 ewe lambs are proof that I dug this well. By accepting them, you acknowledge that the well belongs to me." That place was then called Beersheba, meaning well of the oath, because there the two made a solemn agreement. Afterward, Abimelech and his commander returned to the Philistine territory. Abraham planted a tree there in Beersheba and called on the name of the Lord, staying for a long time in that land. At one point, God decided to test Abraham. He called his name, and when Abraham heard, he answered promptly. God then said, "Take your son, your only beloved Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah. There, offer him as a burnt offering on the mountain I will show you." Abraham prepared everything. He saddled his donkey, took 2 servants and his son, cut wood, and set out for the place God had indicated. After a long journey, he saw the place in the distance and told the servants to stay with the donkey while he and the boy went up to worship God. Abraham placed the wood on Isaac, took the fire and the knife with him, and they went on together. Along the way, Isaac asked, "Father, we have the wood and the fire, but where is the lamb for the sacrifice?" Abraham answered with faith, "God will provide the lamb, my son." When they reached the designated place, Abraham built an altar. arranged the wood and tied Isaac, laying him on the altar. As he raised the knife, an angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld your own son." Abraham then looked around and saw a ram caught by its horns in a bush. He took the ram and sacrificed it instead of his son. That place was named "The Lord Will Provide," a phrase still remembered today. On the mount of the Lord it will be provided. The angel of the Lord spoke again to Abraham, saying, "I swear by myself, because you did not withhold your beloved son from me, I will bless your descendants abundantly. Your offspring will be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the grains of sand on the seashore. They will conquer the cities of their enemies, and through them all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you obeyed me." Abraham returned to where the servants were, and they all went back together to Beersheba, where he lived. Later, news came to him that his brother Nahor had become a father. Milcah, his wife, had several children: Uz the firstborn, then Buz, Kemuel, father of Aram, Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel, who became the father of Rebekah. Thus Milcah gave 8 sons to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Sarah lived to be 127 years old and died in Kiriath Arba, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham mourned deeply for her and held a funeral. Then he asked the Hittites for a suitable place to bury her with dignity. They said that he was regarded among them as a prince of God, and that he could choose the best tomb. Abraham then asked them to intercede with Ephron, son of Zohar, to sell the cave of Machpelah at the edge of his land at a fair price with witnesses present. Ephron, who was one of the influential members of the community, answered in front of everyone, "My Lord, listen carefully. I give you the field and the cave in it. In the presence of all here, I give this land to you as a burial place. You may bury your wife there." Abraham bowed before the people of the land, thanked them respectfully, and replied to Ephron, "I greatly appreciate your generosity, but please, listen to me. I prefer to pay the price for the land. Tell me how much it costs and I will pay in front of everyone. This way the cave will legally be mine, so I can bury my wife with dignity." Ephron replied, "Oh my lord, the field is worth 400 pieces of silver, but what is that between you and me? Bury your dead there." Abraham heard and accepted. He weighed out the silver according to the agreed price and handed it to Ephron in front of everyone. Thus, the field of Ephron, with the cave and all the trees around it, became Abraham's official property. There, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of Machpelah before everyone. The field and the cave became his burial inheritance, officially recognized by the Hittites. Abraham answered firmly, "No way, my son must not return to that land. The Lord, the God of heaven, brought me out of my father's house and my native land. It was he who made me a solemn promise that he would give this land to my descendants. That same God will send his angel before you to help you find a wife for my son. But if the young woman does not want to come, you will be free from the commitment. I only ask that you never bring my son back there." Then Abraham's servant placed his hand under his master's thigh and made the oath. Afterward, he prepared 10 camels with various gifts and set out toward the city of Nahor in the region of Mesopotamia. Upon arriving, he stopped near a well outside the city. It was the time when the women came to draw water. He prayed, "O Lord God of my master Abraham, please make everything go well today. Show kindness to my master. I am standing here by the well. Let the young woman I ask for a drink and who also offers to give water to my camels be the one you have chosen for Isaac. Then I will know that you are guiding everything. Before he even finished praying, Rebekah appeared, daughter of Bethuel. Her mother was Milcah, wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother. She carried a jar on her shoulder. The young woman was very beautiful, a virgin, and had never been with any man. Rebekah went down to the spring, filled the jar, and came back up. The servant ran to her and asked for a little water. Kindly, she said yes, and offered him the jar. After quenching his thirst, she also drew water for the camels until they were satisfied. While she did this, the man watched her silently, trying to see if this was God's answer. When the camels finished drinking, he gave her a gold nose ring and 2 gold bracelets. Then he asked, "Whose daughter are you? Is there room in your father's house to stay?" She answered, "I am the daughter of Bethuel. Yes, we have enough space and provisions for the camels." The man bowed down and worshipped the Lord, thanking him for guiding him to his master's brother's family. Rebekah ran to tell her family what had happened. Her brother Laban ran to the well. Seeing the gifts and hearing Rebekah's words, he went to meet the servant and invited him to his home. "Come, blessed by the Lord. I have prepared everything for you and your camels." At the house they fed the animals, gave water to wash the feet of the servant and those with him, and brought food. But the man said he would not eat before telling his story. And he began, "I am a servant of Abraham. God has greatly blessed my master, giving him wealth, servants, and animals. In his old age, his wife Sarah gave him a son to whom he passed all he owns. He made me swear that I would not choose a wife for his son from the Canaanites, but that I would go to his relatives. I asked, 'What if she does not want to come?' He answered that God would send his angel to make everything go well. Today, by the well, I prayed and asked for a sign, that the young woman who offered me water and also water for the camels would be the one chosen." Then Rebekah appeared and did exactly that. When I asked whose daughter she was, she said, "Daughter of Bethuel, granddaughter of Nahor and Milcah." I gave her the gifts and thanked God for bringing me here. Now, I ask you sincerely if you will let her go with me. If not, I need to know what to do." Laban and Bethuel answered, "This is from God. There is no need to discuss. Rebekah is here. Take her to be the wife of your master's son as the Lord has commanded." Hearing this, the servant bowed down and worshipped the Lord again. He brought more gifts for Rebekah and also for her mother and brother. That night they had dinner and slept there. The next morning the servant asked to leave with Rebekah, but her family asked her to stay a few more days. He insisted, saying that the Lord had made everything go well and that he needed to return. They then called Rebekah and asked if she wanted to go. She answered yes, she was ready. So Rebekah and her maid mounted the camels and left with Abraham's servant. Her family blessed her, wishing her a prosperous life and many victorious children. Isaac, who lived in the Negev, had gone out at dusk to meditate in the field. Looking toward the horizon, he saw the camels arriving. Rebekah also saw him, got down from the camel, and asked the servant who that man was. He answered that it was his master. Then she took a veil and covered herself. The servant told Isaac everything that had happened. Isaac took Rebekah to his mother Sarah's tent. There she became his wife, and he loved her very much. This love comforted him after the loss of his mother. Later, Abraham married again to a woman named Keturah, with whom he had several children. However, everything he owned was given to Isaac. To the children of the concubines, Abraham gave gifts and sent them to distant lands so they would not be near Isaac.